Hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Unpacking with Sarah, where we are bridging the gap between theory and application in meaningful ways to improve your mental wellness. I'm really excited to be here today. We are talking about how our emotions are neither good nor bad. We have a really bad tendency as humans to label behaviors or thoughts or things that we're doing or things that we're feeling or experiencing as good or bad. And I really want to help you change your vocabulary. Instead of emotions being good or bad, maybe we should talk about them being comfortable versus uncomfortable and recognize that there's a huge spectrum of levels of comfort and that those levels of comfort can be different for every single person. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So I want to talk first about the emotion excitement. So Alex, if you can pull up that picture, there we go. I absolutely love this Feel Your Feelings worksheet. It's very useful, very user friendly, and so I'm very excited about that. But one of the things that I kind of want to illustrate here is that excitement, which is supposed to be a quote unquote good emotion, can actually feel really comfortable if you like feeling jittery and jumpy and maybe a little bit shaky and some tense, but you're happy about it. Or excitement can feel really uncomfortable and maybe even almost the exact same as anxiety. Brene Brown actually talks about that in her book, Atlas of the Heart. Definitely recommend this book. I have more markings and highlights and scribbles in this book than I do my Bible. Just want to let you know this is the emotional Bible. And it's a great way for you to understand how the physiological sensations that we experience with emotions help us interpret and navigate our world. I remember growing up that I was taught that my anger was bad or evil, that it meant that Satan, the devil, had some sort of control over me and that I needed to get rid of that anger as fast as possible in order to have the Spirit of God back in my soul. I'm very grateful that now, after many, many years of education and several years of experience as an LPC, that I'm able to say, hey, there's nothing, quote unquote, bad or evil about anger. Rather, your anger is informative. It helps you identify when something is uncomfortable or potentially dangerous so that you can take action with that. My anger definitely does not feel comfortable for me. I feel tense, I feel icky, I feel hot, I feel like throwing things, I feel like screaming, I might feel like kicking things. I can also say that my anger makes the people around me uncomfortable as well, which is one of the reasons why we want to get rid of it so quickly. We're in kind of this brain space where if something makes us uncomfortable, it must be bad and we need to get it to stop immediately. Rather than taking the time to say, hey, what's my brain, what's my body trying to tell me? Now, back, a million years ago when we were running away from tigers and lions and bears, oh my, we needed that immediate, I've got to run, I've got to move, I've got to get out of the way, I have to get back to safety. But in today's day, it's very rare for us, especially here in the United States or in developed countries, to need to have that high level of reactivity to uncomfortable emotions. And yet, our biology, our anatomy doesn't like that. Our anatomy wants us to shut down uncomfortable emotions immediately. I'm here to challenge you. Hey, let's get curious about those uncomfortable emotions and figure out what they are trying to tell us so that we can respond differently. And again, instead of framing our emotional experiences or our emotional responses as good or bad, let's frame them as levels of comfort. Remember, that's on a great big huge spectrum. Your homework for this week is to identify which emotions you're feeling and put them on a Likert scale. Now, remember, a Likert scale is what you do at the doctor all the time when they say, oh, you've got pain. How much is that hurting you from 1 to 10? 1 being very, very little pain, or 0 being no pain, 10 being the worst pain imaginable. I want you to put your emotional level of comfort on that same Likert scale. Make the 10 the most uncomfortable any emotion has ever felt ever. I'm not functioning well because I'm so uncomfortable in my emotional response, all the way down to 0, which would be I feel great. I'm not having any problems today. Be honest with yourself. That's the hardest part about this assignment. Again, remember, if you or somebody you know is in crisis, I want you to call the numbers that you see scrolling along the bottom of the screen, specifically 988. We want you to choose life. You are worth it. You are wanted. May not feel like it in the moment, but your life has meaning for you and for other people around you. Thanks so much for joining us today. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.